A couple of announcements before we actually start. Number one, my birthday's in 5 days, meaning I'll be 22. I hate my life, honestly. I cannot deal with this. Everybody gets to be successful in their own life, but I can't get shit. That's some bullshit. I'm not necessarily gonna hold you. But if anything, when it comes down to things, if I can get anything for my birthday, which there's a lot of things I would like, like 1 million subscribers, actually getting monetized. What else is out there? Oh yeah, getting my bills paid, because that's been a pain in the ass, and just generally fix up a lot of stuff in life that I could honestly use. There's tons of things I could wish for, but majority of times when I say something like that, that probably won't even happen. So if I could just ask for a basic ass wish, honestly, just something simple. I just wish I had enough money to get Street Fighter 6 and Rain Code. That's quite literally all that I would ask on a basic ass level, because those games come out next month and I ain't got no type of money to go get both of them. So that kind of sucks, and what I would need. So when it comes down to things, that will be something. If you would like to become a Patreon member to help me out with that, at least that will make my birthday feel a little bit more better. And secondly, when it comes down to things, so speaking of Street Fighter, I will also be recording some videos for Street Fighter, which it will basically be like the uploaded versions of it, like from, the PS5 directly. So I won't be having any type of commentary to it, because I can't put those videos together with voiceover, because my laptop dies every time it happens, because those files are just too damn big. So I'm gonna have to just upload the raw footage of me fighting and basically using the characters I use, and that's gonna be basically it for it. So expect about 4, maybe 5 videos of that, honestly, which will be mainly me playing Juri and Ken. I will be playing like other characters, but I will mainly be playing like Juri and Ken, so just keep that in mind. But anyway, yesterday I put in the story that there was some changes that's gonna have to happen, honestly, and introduce 2 new characters to the story, which you damn well bet I'm gonna put in some other characters from that world, which is Ruby and Weiss, first of all, who came through, and they're clashing with Jay and Koniko at the moment, which I'm not necessarily going to go into too much detail about it, because I want you to watch the episode yourself, but they are clashing in. Now, there is a few reasons why I decided to put them in to Kokatsu's story, and that's mainly what I want to touch on today, because a lot of people already get comments on it already. People are already just assuming the thing I'm going to do off rip is just essentially have Jay completely go out of his way to clap and bang Ruby and Weiss. That's in the future, but not just yet. Honestly, when it comes down to things, especially if you're new to this channel or you haven't seen that series, there's a lot of NSFW stuff that happens in it. I'll be completely honest with you. This series is not for everybody. I'll be openly honest and say that. But when it comes down to things, you're gonna see characters getting clapped. That just is what it is. But I also want to tell a story with that. At least a decent story that could be passable for people that ends up watching it, honestly. That's what I really want to show off and kind of deal with, honestly, So for the people that think I'm just gonna clap Ruby off rip, that's not happening. It will happen, but just not yet. But I want to basically kind of use Ruby in a way to kind of make what currently is about her in her actual canon better. Now, or at least change up in a way to make Ruby kind of a more better protagonist. Now, I'm gonna say this right now, because I have people that actually watch Ruby and they actually do subscribe to this channel, and I'm gonna just say this like this: if you watch Ruby and if you like what Ruby is, perfectly fine. That's perfectly okay. If you like what Ruby is and that's your enjoyment, I'm not hating on you for that. That's absolutely not what I'm aiming for, because some of y'all say that Ruby got you out the dark times, and I can kind of relate to that when it comes to Kingdom Hearts. So it'll be kind of like the same person, like, oh, you like Kingdom Hearts because you like the Disney shit and all that power of friendship cringy nonsense, then you're stupid. That's not a real game. A real game would be like Call of Duty or something. Play better games, scrub, or something like that. I would hate that as well. So I'm not here to shit on your enjoyment of Ruby. If you enjoy Ruby, perfectly fine. I understand. It comes to bring you out of dark times. Same way with Kingdom Hearts. My only issue with Ruby, personally, is just the writing. I don't necessarily like how the characters are written in certain ways, and when they start doing things that kind of doesn't make any sense, it makes me compelled to be like, but why? And don't get me wrong, again, as Ruby as a whole, I like the concept of what it is. I like the characters of what they are. I just don't like how they're written, and that's the biggest issue I have. It's why you see a lot of people do like D&D of RWBY and kind of make their own stories to make things better than the actual show. Or they try to make fan fictions and try to work RWBY in somewhere where they can, try to make the characters better or more understandable. And that just kind of is a thing because there's just a lot of people that don't like the characters and how they're written. And that's what I plan to do with Kokatsu's story, which, granted, now that I think about it, I'm going to have to give RWBY a lot more screen time than I originally thought I was going to do. Because in order to make this work, I want to have RWBY not fixed as a character. I don't want her fixed because I can't fix shit that's already been ruined. I can't fix that. But I can change it though. I can change it in a way where it's not completely breaking on what RWBY could be, but also breaking it a little bit to the point where it fits into the narrative of my story and, how things kind of work in that world. One of my biggest complaints I would say when it comes to Team RWBY is just that they're always together, right? They always seem together, and every time something happens, at the end of it, they just kind of go back and reset to zero, like nothing really ever happened, and they get a victory at the end of the day. And, they're not really like a separated group of people. Like, they can work out their problems, and that's kind of is what it is, and nothing relatively changes. Even though you're in the ever after, where literally, if you die, you turn into something different, and then somehow that excuses RWBY from not being that part of the ever after when she died. Like, she doesn't change. She kind of comes back as the same damn person that she was before. Kind of chuck that depression and all that stuff aside just because she says, oh, I'm enough now. So, okay, that is what it is. You can get that, but at the very same time, I'm still expecting you to have some type of depression or some type of, like, resentment to yourself or even to others, especially your whole team, who basically kind of just don't care about your feelings. If I'm being perfectly honest, it just feels weird. Even as a person who only came in to see RWBY during Volume 9, I was just very confused about the whole concept with death and stuff in the after. I was just like, RWBY should come as something different. She shouldn't come as Summer Rose, obviously, but she should come back as something different with a new outlook. But she doesn't. And it's like, but why? What was the point of your depression then? Did you just fake an episode of depression or something? That's something that you shouldn't fake, my boy. I'll be honest with you. Also, with Team RWBY, they have horrible judgment skills, or at least justifications for things. Because in one moment, they have Oscar, who they beat the shit out of because they didn't like the idea that he lied to them, even though he had a valid reason why. But then they did the same thing to Ironwood for some reason, which they end up lying to him, and now they getting mad because their decisions didn't work, and so they blame him, and he's the bad guy. And the story goes along with it for some reason, and that's just weird. And then they claim themselves to not be bad people, and then they just kind of, even though they make like tons of mistakes and problems all over the damn place, but they don't claim that shit. They just either blame it or something else, or they don't even recognize it. And it's so weird, right? It's weird. It just feels a bit weird. So what am I going to potentially do to, well, change it, not fix it, change it? Well, the simple thing, and as I kind of said before, I want to kind of break Team RWBY in a way where they're separated and try to do something with that. The more focus of the story, I will say, is going to be on RWBY and mainly just Jay kind of figuring something out with her. Because here's my biggest thing. I think the biggest thing of what happens when it comes to RWBY is because Summer Rose wasn't there a lot of the time, or their mom wasn't there a lot of the damn time. I feel like that kind of jacks up RWBY and Yang's character because they have no one to be taught from, or at least they have no real good sense of being taught from someone else. And anytime they probably could be taught by someone else, they probably find some different situations to kind of make things about them and, make it worse than it should be, honestly. So I think what I want to do for this one is kind of let RWBY be learning something from Jay in a way, because by all intents and purposes, I love talking about the dynamic between Jay and RWBY, because one is a self-claimed hero who basically tries to do a lot of things and stop a lot of shit from happening, even though she causes a good chunk of those problems herself. And then when things kind of go around, she just blames it on something else or doesn't necessarily know what to do, but everything kind of gets resolved in the end, and everybody's kind of happy and reset back to zero. Versus a person that's not a hero who knows he's being selfish and has done a lot of bad things, and particularly has, you know, messed up a lot of ways where his friends was hurt in some shape or form, but he knows he has to roll with the punches and kind of deal with things, and there is no reset to zero. He knows that there's a lot of things that are going wrong. Hell, even when he lied to, you know, one character in the story, because again, I don't want to spoil it, one character in the story about where she comes from, he feels that pain. He feels that, damn, this is a bad choice and that was a selfish decision on my part. So that kind of sucks. And then when, you know, Ruby kind of comes through and points it out that he made a selfish decision, Jay kind of has to roll with it because he ain't gonna let someone from a different universe talk shit to him like that, even if it's true, you know? And he has to kind of roll with it. And that's kind of like the thing with both of these characters. Jay can actually admit his mistakes and actually wants to learn from it and not try to F up again. But when it comes down to things, you got Ruby who does make a lot of mistakes, but doesn't try to learn from it or doesn't face any type of consequences and just kind of deals with it and resets to zero at the end of the day. And it's so weird. So like I said, I want to really focus more on Ruby and kind of get her character sorted and situated because I feel like that's the biggest of all the characters. She's like the biggest character to really, you know, change up and try to see what I can do in my interpretation of her. And then obviously Blake, Yang, and Weiss can also come through in some shape or form, which, oh boy, do I have a plan for Blake and Weiss, not Weiss, Yang, Blake and Yang, Bumblebee. I'm gonna ruin that shit, best believe. But when it comes down to things, I just want to really more focus on Ruby because I feel like of all the characters that has a potential to be good in the actual canon of their show, it should have been Ruby. She's the literal protagonist. Half the time she doesn't feel like the damn leader. Half the time she just feel like Weiss is like the damn leader, and then she getting bossed around by her. Or the team just make their own decisions, like in BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, where they just dipped off from each other, and that was basically it. It's so annoying. It's so annoying that you have this entire good, you know, cast of characters, this cool, decent concept, and then you end up making a whole bunch of writing for it and ruining what could be something great. And then as far as you working with DC, which, why is Ruby with DC? That's like the last company I would expect them to run with, but it's a Western ass people running a, if I'm being honest, a show that really shouldn't be run by Western ass people. I'll be honest on that front. So when it comes down to things, I just want to try to see if I can work something out. That's kind of basically it. I want to see if I can just try to make a change when it comes to things and see how can my interpretation of Ruby and them can be and kind of see how we can go forward with stuff. Now, granted, I don't know a lot about Ruby. I'm trying to learn about it as I'm kind of going on with things. And there's definitely going to be some things I'm going to have to learn, like what is a fauna and those group of people, like where Blake is, and, you know, what is some other parts of the characters that kind of suck about them, and what are some things that they should work on, and what are some good things about them that they actually have done and, you know, actually can do by themselves and stuff like that. What are some good traits about them too? And I want to combine everything together with what I learned and kind of put it into one narrative and just see what we can kind of do with that, honestly. So yeah, like I said, it's gonna be a good minute with Ruby going to be in the story, and I want her to kind of be there for a lot of events, at least for as far as I want her to be in, like, you know, as long as necessary. But we'll kind of, again, have to see how this kind of goes. I do already have some ideas, because right now I'm just trying to animate the fight, which I hope y'all do enjoy the Kakatsu story, and honestly I appreciate the work I've been doing, because I ain't gonna necessarily lie. Putting fights in Kakatsu is tough. It's a lot of work. Honestly, I wanted to quit making that damn fight because I'm just like, I am so over this shit right now. I don't want to deal with this. But there's some story beats I had to put in here. So it's annoying as hell. So when it comes down to things, this shit does get tiring. It requires patience and just planning and a whole bunch of shit. And I just hope that you appreciate it. That's really all I could say when it comes down to it. Because this fight, oh boy, do I want this fight with Ruby and shit to be over with right now. But anyway, for now, I'll just leave it right there. Because again, I don't want to necessarily go into too many ideas of what I want to do. Which I might go ahead and just explain some of those on Patreon. Which, if you're on a Patreon member, I will be now trying to explain future ideas for the Kakatsu story. And if you just want a heads up on certain things, then that's the place where you might want to maybe be. Now, I will also mention those ideas aren't set in stone, so anything could change, but you know, it is my current idea what I think is gonna happen. Again, wanting to know some spoilers like it's some manga ass shit, then please go ahead and become a Patreon member. Again, getting Street Fighter 6 and rank code will be very nice. But that's about it for this one, so hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on your way out. Also follow me on the socials. And if you'd like to donate to the channel, Patreon is available as well. And until then, it's boy Jay, sign off. Have a blessed day.